come back and recapture the lead. And I said a year ago that we probably would have lost that football game because we wouldn't have known how to finish and we wouldn't have known how to continue to just play through. And they have so much confidence in one another that you watch this and we got the score back on offense. Then we end up, getting the extra point block, and then they tied the score back up. But we had a great kickoff, and we were able to pin them down, and we didn't allow them to just drive the ball and get the field goal to go win the game. Those two quarterbacks, I had a conversation with them, and I told Swoops, I said, actually with both of them, I told him, I said, Buchelle's going to start. And I said, Swoops, you know what's going to happen in this game? I said, you're going to have an opportunity to go win this football game for us. And you look what he did. And he came in there with his 18-wheeler package, and we knew that he was going to play. He was just you look at that freshman, and he played an unbelievable game. You look at what Swoops did. John Burt drops a long one, and then the one off of Petey's hands that, caused that interception. But just the poise that he has. And then, you look at Swoops. And a lot of times when you get a senior, a lot of them can actually go the other way and kind of become a problem. But Swoops told him, he said, listen, I'm behind you. And, anything that happens, I'm going to be there for you. Anytime we need to have a conversation, you just come because I'm going to be on the sideline and I'm going to be there to help you. But it's just the way this team has beginning to just come together, and you just feel that how they have so much respect for one another. But we needed tonight to get this program back in the spotlight. And this is a big win for us to get the program headed back. I know one game does not make a season. We have many more to go, but this is a great start for us. And it just from where we've been, a record crowd. And I told our coaches, I said, just make the game plan easy because the crowd is going to allow us to play with the passion that we have. And the players, they're going to play off of it. I was teasing them. The preparation yesterday is the first time I ever seen it. The guys that we were meeting, they didn't say anything. I was like, oh, my God, what's wrong with this team? Usually some guys are joking around. Then this morning at pregame, I had to say something to them. I said, okay, then y'all don't want to talk. Let me get it started. Let me tell some jokes. And then, Hurd comes walking in. He says, Coach, let me stand up here by you. Because I always start a meeting with a clap. I always clap, and then I start a meeting. And Hurd said, let me do the clap because I'm nervous, but I'm not scared, though. I'm nervous, but I'm not scared. I said, it's all right to be nervous because usually when you have the knot in your stomach, then that means you're going to go out and go play well. And that was great tonight. It was just fun to watch that team and how it just fought back. I just knew that the second overtime, we had a chance. I said, we're going to go on defense first. I said, I just need the defense to hold them to a field goal because we're going to score a touchdown. And I said, get Swoops in there. Let's run behind him and let him. You see that one run? He ran over two guys. One guy ended up being taken off the field. I hope he's okay. But then he goes in with the touchdown and scores. But what a great win tonight. I mean, it was just amazing just to see our crowd. I'm so happy for our fans because they needed it. Our fans really needed that. But, we've been down for so long and people have been talking about us. And it was a night for us to just make it right for at least for one game. Davis, what do you think? For one? Yes, for one game. But I'm so proud of our football team.
Brian? Charlie, you did a good job of not listening to us about the quarterback issue. What was your thought process as the game unfolded as to whether you're going to go with Buchelle, go with Swoops? What was the thinking as to the situation, and then what made you want to go with the 18-wheeler at the end?
Well, if you watch the game, I think it's, when we first started off, if you watch Buchelle, he was throwing the deep balls, and, first one we had dropped, but he was just making the throws, and we didn't want to just pull him. We wanted him to get a rhythm with the game. And then we brought the 18-wheeler package in there, and then Swoops were able just to run the ball. I think we had an 17 or 18-play drive with Swoops in the game. But it wasn't like we were just going to settle on one guy. We were going to make sure that, hey, let's roll these quarterbacks, and we have packages for them. The one, I said, hey, Sterling, let's throw a deep one. And Swoops threw the ball. I said, oh, God, he's not going to be warmed up. This ball's going to sail out of bounds. And it sailed out of bounds. It hit the white. I said, but it was just, so much can be said about Swoops and just for him to be the person he is. And I told him that this morning we did our team walk, and I said, hey, come and walk with me. I said, I just want you to feel like this now. I don't want you to be upset that the young guy's in there, but you're going to have your chance. You're going to have your opportunity, but you're a special person to handle this situation the way you're handling it.
Chris?
Charlie, after such a high-profile win, how do you keep the team's energy up for the game next week to make sure that they don't sit on their laurels?
Well, what we have to do as a coaching staff, we have to realize a lot of us have been in big games, and we have to make sure that we can go out and practice and make sure that our kids do stay focused, because it is. And I told them that they're going to have tomorrow's off. Tomorrow is off because we played on Sunday, so I'm going to give them Monday off and then get ready to go back to work on Tuesday. But I think that with our leadership now, with our seniors, I'm going to talk to them and just make sure, hey, let's make sure that we don't all of a sudden start feeling good about ourselves and then we lose our confidence.
Charlie, we just talked to the governor, and he said the only thing that topped this for him was Vince Young running into the end zone in 2005. You weren't around then, but does this feel like some sort of turning of the corner with 14 weeks, to go in the season?
Well, Dennis, you look at it and you love to see that. You always need a signature win, and where's that signature win? And you hope that you can get one where it gets you going. Even last year, you go beat Oklahoma and you felt like, okay, we have 7 more games into the season. Now we beat this team, and this is one of the top teams in our conference. Now maybe we can go out and play well these final 7 weeks, which we didn't do. But you have a different team now. You have a small group of seniors that provide so much leadership, and then you have a young group where you have a large amount of sophomores and freshmen, and they don't know any better. A lot of times with young guys, those guys have so much confidence, so much flair about them. They're just going to go out there and say, hey, just throw it to me. I can beat a guy deep, or I can do this. And you're hoping that we'll be able to maintain that. But it's our senior class and what they did, and even up to this point, how hard they worked from January to now.
Charlie, as much as you've been through, you've talked so much about this thing flipping, and you've said that word over and over. When did you know, or when did you at least get the sense with this team that things had flipped and this would be a different team this year?
You know what happened this summer when we had a chance to just work with our guys in the days that we have? You just felt like now when we brought in that class that we just brought in, and you just saw the big bodies and you saw just athletic guys, but you saw a very confident group of players. And I think it kind of that group kind of rubbed off onto our players that we had already in the program. And then the players in the program, they say, oh my God, coach, we're big now. We're really big. And they start getting a little confidence about themselves. Like Perkins, he don't say much at all. And Perk actually, he sits right here. And one day he stood up in a meeting here and he said, listen, guys, there's no more excuses in our program now. We have talent. We're young, but that's not an excuse either. You young guys going to have to step up and play. Even tonight, if you look at tonight, you had a freshman in Buchelle, and then you had a freshman center. On the defensive side of the ball, you rolled Roach, but you didn't have many freshmen playing tonight. You had a fair amount of, 2-year guys, 3-year guys that have been in the program that played.
Coach, you talked about before the game, it's like these freshmen aren't going to know what's going on. They're going to be out of their head. Yet Buchelle, the way he performed, he looked so mature. Can you talk about how pleased you are with his performance and going forward that 2 quarterbacks can actually really work for you?
I called Buchelle's mom, Nancy, on it had to be Saturday night, and I told her, I said, hey, listen, I think that the decision is fine. I'm gonna go with your son, and he was standing next to me, and he said, what's she doing? I said, I think she's crying. He's like, oh God, I told you she would, coach. And I said, but let me say this, you better not let her down. But the confidence that he has, and that's why I talked about him this summer, like he's always had that confidence, but he has a respect for his other teammates. Like some guys are kind of cocky and they kind of rub you the wrong way, and guys don't want to associate with them. They're just hoping they fall on their face. But as with him, all the players, they have so much respect for him. When we talk about just the different games that we play, and he's always around them. Like that is one, he's always around. You'll see him in this building, he's always around. And you just knew that he could handle it. Like this stage wouldn't be too big. Because I said to him in the beginning, I said, okay, what do you think? He said, well, when I first run out there, coach, I think I'm going to be a little nervous, but let me settle down. I said, well, you're going to turn around and hand that ball off anyway, so you're not going to throw it deep, okay? So we don't have to worry about that. You are not underthrow anyone, and you would not throw the ball over their head. You're going to turn around and hand that ball off. You may hand it off the first 2 times. I think he did. And then once he got settled down and he's just one, like sometimes there's a player that comes through, there's a special player, and he's one of those players.
Right, Sean? Coach, first year you lost Dom Espinosa and David Ash in the first game, and this was an emergency going into this week. Last year on the road at Notre Dame, it was tough. This year, what's your messaging to the team coming out of this, where you beat a top 10 team and you got some positive momentum?
Well, I just told them that one game doesn't make a season, and that we have a lot of games left, and we just got to continue to just build on this game and just continue to we have to get better. And let's not all of a sudden let everybody pat ourselves on the back and say, hey, it was a great win. But still, though, there's a lot more games to go play. And if we just rest on this game, then all of a sudden allow someone to slip up on us, then this game won't mean as much. And that's why we got to continue to build on it. And I think that with the group of guys that we have, they'll come back to work. And plus, the coaching staff, they can't rest on it themselves. And we as a coaching staff, we got to make sure that we don't lose our edge and we continue to coach hard and do a better job of coaching tonight. We had to do a better job of what we did tonight.
Charlie, two questions. Number one, how much confidence did it give you to see that 16-play, 88-yard drive where you just basically pounded them? And number two, how big was the win tonight, knowing that there were guys that won national championships celebrating with you guys on the field?
Well, the 16-play drive said it was big because I just kept saying to Sterling, just pound them. And I just wanted to see if we could just wear them down. And even at the end, the last touchdown with Swoops, I said, listen, we're not throwing the ball. We're going to line up. We're going to let 18-wheeler, we're going to let him just run over people. And he said, just let me do it tonight. Hey, Coach, I want to win this game. I said, well, you're going to get your chance to win it. And then they go out there with all the players on the sideline. I mean, it was a ton of them. And just for them, just to see all those former players have a chance to enjoy this victory and to be a part of it. And it was so funny because we came in at halftime and I saw Jeff Code and he said, God, I don't think I've ever seen us play as hard as we're playing right now. And I said, we're not, but we still have 30 minutes to go. So let's see if we can go finish this thing off.
Charlie, because it all worked out, you can be honest. What were you thinking when the extra point got blocked and they ran it back? Was it a here we go again type of thing? Or?
You know what? I looked back, I think it was like 3 minutes ago. I said, oh, God. I said, now we got to go out here on defense. So we get the extra point blocked. And then I think I was the one who hit the official as he's running down the sideline. And I was so pissed, and he ran into me, and he threw the flag. I think that's on me. I know it was on me. And then so then we get the ball we had to kick it off from the 20. And I said to Becker, I said, just boot it. Just punch it as far as you can. A cover team, we have to go cover it. We need to get a stop here so we don't allow them to drive it and get a field goal. And we came with pressure, and made us. And even we had our chance. You know, we get the ball back, and we're driving. You know, 33 makes a big run, and then we get a holding call, which is took us back, and then a bad snap. And then I said, hey, let's get it into overtime. And if we can just hold them to field goals, we're going to score touchdowns. I just felt like we would pound them, and we would get the touchdowns.
Charlie, what were you expecting from Notre Dame for their quarterback rotation, and were you surprised to see Zaire as much as you did?
No, I wasn't. I think that Zaire, he gave us a lot of problems because he can run and throw. We knew that Kaiser could run and throw, but when Zaire was in the game, we just felt like we could load the box and just take away his run game. But when Kaiser came in, if you watch, I think that every time he came in, there's more runs than throws. And at one point, he threw the ball 6 straight times. But I knew that they would rotate him. We felt like they would rotate him the way they did. But then at the end, when they wanted to come back and go win the game, then they left Kaiser in because he's a more productive thrower.
Charlie, as far as a blueprint, what can you share about if there was a blueprint between you using the two quarterbacks the way you did?
No, it wasn't really a blueprint. It was just how the flow of the game went, and we knew this. That I think the third series is when Swoops went in the game. I think we told him he's going to go in the game on the third series, and then once it got down there inside the goal line area, we didn't want to get. Shane isn't the runner that Swoops is, and there's no need in trying to run the quarterback. I think he ran. He got a couple where he broke loose, but he doesn't need to take that pounding. When you got like Swoops is another big running back who can just run through people. But just it worked out the way it did at the quarterback position, and Sterling did a great job of just managing it. And we knew that once we get in there, we can just balance people up. Then just let him just get. If he got one-on-one on a guy, it's hard for someone to tackle him one-on-one.
Coach, Malik had an awesome game on defense, especially in the first half, but I guess you had him shadowing the quarterback there in the second half to try to keep his running threat away, right? Kind of took his aggressiveness away there. I mean, how did that work out for you? Obviously, it worked out for you well at the end.
Yeah, Malik, the thing you can do with him is he's such a great edge rusher, and he can put so much pressure coming off the edge and blitzing him. It's like on that the one touchdown that they scored there in overtime, we was bringing him off the edge, and he had said something to one of the DB. He said, "Hey, I'm going to come. You cover," because the ball, he just knew that the ball was going to come out to where they was going to run a jailbreak on us. They ran a jailbreak and scored. But just his leadership that he provides, he's someone that can make a lot of plays, and even at the end there, he made a big sack where he was able to get in and put the pressure on Kaiser. But he's a guy that we know that he can make plays, and he can win one-on-one battles when he blitz.
Charlie, you get the 72-yard touchdown pass right away to start the second half, and then Shane throws the interception. Was there a conscious effort to kind of buckle it down and run it at that point? And Colin Johnson, any reason why he wasn't a part of this one?
Well, he played. I don't know how many snaps he played because I think like John Bird had a lot of catches. But when we went up 17, but we allowed them on defense. We allowed them to drive the ball down the field like bang bang, like 4 plays, I think, touchdown. Now we're up 10, and the ball that he threw wasn't a bad ball. It's just what Petey just never looked at it, and he had the first down. Just catch the ball. We're backed up. Then the ball tips out because the defensive back was so far back. That's why he ended up intercepting it because he was giving him that much leverage. But no, it wasn't one of those where you say, okay, now let's go run the ball because. We were going to take anything they gave us, and if you look at it, a lot of times is where they gave Burt where because of his speed. I mean, they were off playing, way off of him, and then Amani had I think 36 on him, who was a really good corner, but we were going to take what they gave us.
It looked like post-game you did everything crowd surf to talk to the governor. Can you just kind of take us through what you remember from those moments?
Nah, Chris, I was just, into it. I wasn't going to crowd surf. The players picked me up, actually, and I was trying to get away from them. And I was really looking for swoops, and he had, ran around the field. But, I was just happy for our players, and then I had a chance to see the governor, and I know this was special for him. And then he's honorary captain too, and then at a big time game like this, just a sellout crowd. It was a special moment for us all.
On the left, Danny. Charlie, I think you said it was Becker on that kickoff, but how big were him and Dixon? Just kind of what they did with their legs to pin Notre Dame back and give your defense some breathing room.
I tell you what, he has when you look at just how well our punter and even our kickoff guy, they did a great job of really punting the ball tonight too. Because if you look what Mike did is that he outkicked our coverage. You would have liked to have seen our outside guys, which we call gunners, get on down the field. And they was being harassed, and we missed a couple of tackles early. But Chris Boyd had cramped up early in the game, so we couldn't really get him back. So we was playing with 2 different guys on the outside. And even when that field goal got blocked, Perk had came out and Tristan they came out. So those are 2 guys on the right side that really have been the guys who have been there on the extra point field goal. Then I think we had 2 other guys in. They were able to jump up over and go block that field goal. But it was just fun to watch him punt the ball because he was a huge advantage for us early in the game. And because he was booming it, and the thing he does, he puts so much hang time on it that it allows our players to get down the field and either get a fair catch or make the play.
Coach, it's been an interesting couple of years since you've been here, and you've had a lot of bad breaks, whether it was the Cal game last year, OSU, and you face so much criticism. Is there any part of you that has any sense of relief now after such a huge win?
No, because I still got a few more to go, so I don't have any relief. No, I don't think you get any relief. No, no.